Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we just waiting for 6:30. Give it another minute. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, everybody. Hare Krishna, Gaura Nataraj Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prem Dhatri Mataji. And Hare Krishna, Dr. Shashi Singhal Mataji and Prabhuji as well. I'm assuming the two of you are together. And more people will join in as we go. So, welcome everyone to this Friday evening live telecast of our regular Friday evening program. I'd like to start by praying and wishing that you and your family and friends are safe given the current scenario. We've been having several discussions with different people about what's going on nowadays and how each one is dealing with this. And in the devotee circle, the general view is that we are much better placed than a lot of other people, given that, in fact, anybody who is a follower of the Vedic culture, not just in places like India, but around the world, all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord are much better placed, simply because of the lifestyle that we live, detailed to cleanliness, higher standard of sanitization, understanding of the principles of nature, no meat eating, and generally trying to stay in sync with Mother Nature. So we are naturally blessed in that sense, and hopefully this so-called wrath of material nature that's being imposed at the moment on the living beings, the devotees of the Lord, sincere Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, can be saved from that. That's the general consensus with the devotee community. Hare Krishna, Pushpalad Mataji and Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Barbara Mataji. So that's the general consensus. And unfortunately, if you have to go through a bit of suffering, then our wish and prayer is that our dear Lordships, Sri Panchatattva and Sri Sri Radha Gokulananda, give you the strength to manage it successfully. So, with that wish and pray, we'd like to begin our Friday evening program. Welcome once again, all the dear devotees. I hope everyone's looking after themselves and are generally keeping safe. We do have, just on a quick note, a lot of small Sangha groups managed by the temple management. So if you are not already on one of the groups, please try and reach out. These are general hello, how are you check kind of discussions that we want to carry on with in the time that we're not able to physically meet each other in the temple as normal. I'm aware of a lot of devotees in the wider congregation may or may not be aware. So this is just a general reach out to everybody. If you know someone who's not already in a group, please reach out to them and help everyone get connected. So earlier this week, we celebrated or observed the appearance of Hanumanji, also referred to as Hanuman Jayanti. And Hanumanji is a very, very essential personality in Lord Ram's pastime. Now, one may ask, what is the benefit of listening to the pastimes of the Lord? It is understood that it is a general tendency of individuals to be curious and inquisitive about mundane gossip all the time. And social media is being used nowadays heavily for circulating this kind of information. But this kind of information doesn't help us at all. It's just simple mundane gossip that doesn't enlighten us, doesn't really educate us in the real sense. So there is a difference between just discussing mundane gossip and discussing the pastimes of the Lord. The scriptures tell us, Bhagavad Gita is telling us in the 4th chapter, verse number 9, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tatpataha tyakta deha punar janma neti ma meti so Arjuna. Krishna himself is saying that one who understands the transcendental nature of my appearance and my activities, janma karma cha me divyam, tyakta deha punar janma neti, after leaving this body, does not take birth here again. Ma meti so Arjuna, comes to me instead. So Krishna himself is declaring that anybody who engages somehow or the other in listening to the pastimes of the Lord benefits to the extent that his cycle of repeated life and death is finished, and he goes back to the kingdom of God to live with him forever. So that's the benefit of listening to the pastimes of the Lord. In fact, the understanding is that we are all spirit souls. This is the most basic philosophical understanding any Vaishnava devotee of the Lord has. And we also, in the same vein, recognize the fact that this Krishna, or whatever name you want to give him, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the purpose of this human life, as scriptures are telling us repeatedly in every single phrase, book, composition, is to revive that forgotten relationship that we have, that eternal relationship we have with the Lord. So listening to the pastimes of the Lord really, and his devotees, really help us develop that sense of affection that we should naturally have with the Lord and his devotees. And continuous hearing, continuous Shravan, Kirtanam of the names and the pastimes of the Lord help us achieve a state of mind which hopefully can be ours in the remembrance of the lotus feet of the Lord, his form, his personality, when it's time for us to leave the body, and enable us to catch the right train to go back to the kingdom of God, back to Godhead, as opposed to having to take repeated birth after again and again and again. So these are the benefits of listening to and hearing to the pastimes of the Lord. So with that in mind, we'll start the program. We'll carry on until about 8:15, 8:20. There'll be about 10-15 minutes in the end for anybody to answer any questions, and I'm going to try and answer. I'll ask any question, then I'll try and answer. So we'll start with the customary Jai Radha Madhava. This is, of course, a one-way feed, so you can sing along wherever you are. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravana Chari Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravana Chari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Rajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravana Chari Yashodanandana Rajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravana Chari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Jayo Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Jayo Radha Madhava Radha Jayo Prabhu Shri Shri Radha Madhava ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. So that was Jai Radha Madhava. Thank you to the devotees for staying on for that. Thank you also to my son, Dhruva, for giving the background sound of the Mridanga. So this is a very, very wonderful bhajan. And we have a special focus in ISKCON Manchester on singing bhajans, which are essentially poetic narrations of the pastimes of the Lord, the holy places, and the Lord's personality, his various aspects. We have a special event every once a month, once a month Friday. This month it will be on the 17th. So next Friday will be Bhajan Sandhya, and we'll have a devotee coming online like this. And the focus of the Bhajan Sandhya is to only meditate on the teachings that the bhajan gives us, as opposed to picking words from the Shastras. There is a lot to take from the bhajans as well. I think it's a good time now to pick up any Vaishnava songbook, and your daily and morning and evening prayers can include a bit of bhajan singing. I personally relish a lot singing bhajans, and it's just a very, very easy source to access the potency of the holy name of the Lord. And anybody can do that. So I highly recommend. And this month, it'll be the next month. Sorry, next week. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshuramritam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Shehnam Sankirtan ki jai, Shri Gaur Bhaktavinda ki jai. So Hare Krishna, and welcome to all those who've just joined. Hare Krishna, Bhaja Kumar, Govinda Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Keti Mataji. And thank you for the rest who are still staying on. So Lord Bajrangbali or Hanumanji's appearance is actually combined or joined together with Lord Ram's appearance. It is understood that when King Dashrath, Lord Ram's father, he wanted to have children, they conducted a fire sacrifice on the recommendation of the saints present at that time. And from the fire sacrifice, a divine personality appeared, and the divine personality accepted the fire sacrifice, and in return, offered a pot of sweet rice. It could have been any other sweet preparation, but sweet rice is something we can easily relate to. So the sweet preparation was handed over by the divine personality to King Dashrath, and he began to distribute that prasad or blessing to his queens so that they could consume the prasad and be blessed with having children. So while the sweet preparation was being distributed, one portion, as it was being transferred, was taken away by the wind god. And wind god is referred to as Pavan Dev or Vayu. So one portion of the sweet rice was taken away by the wind god with plenty of force, enough that the portion of that sweet preparation traveled all the way from Ayodhya to a place called Hampi in the southern part of India, where Hanumanji's to-be mother, Anjani Mata, and Kesari, his father, were doing.
What is your father's name?
Sorry, that's Siri on my phone. So Anjani Mata and Kesari, the Monkey King, were performing austerities on a mountain now referred to as Anjaneya Parbat. So they were performing austerities, and this portion of sweet rice flies all the way and falls into the open hands of Anjani Mata. And she receives it as a blessing, and in time, of course, Anjani Mata becomes pregnant, and then she bears Bajrangbali or Hanumanji. So the essence is that the birth of Lord Ram is connected with the appearance of Hanumanji as well, and Pavan Dev or Vayu Dev fulfilled his commitment to Brahmaji to assist in the Lord's pastimes. So his reason to do that, and because Pavan Dev carried the prasad, that's why Hanumanji is also known as Pavan Putra. So wherever there is Hanumanji, there is Lord Ram, and wherever there is Lord Ram, Hanumanji is always present, because Hanumanji is the dasya mood, or the mood of a servant personified. There are 5 primary relationships in which we can connect with the Lord, and dasya or the servant mode is one such relationship. And Hanumanji or Bajrangbali is service personified. So wherever there is Lord Ram, there is Hanumanji, and vice versa. So there is one also very wonderful verse that I would like to share with all of you. This is from Ram Raksha Stotra. These are 38 verses that are composed to give us protection by Lord Ram. And they were penned down by Valmiki Rishi. However, the original composer of these 38 verses is Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva actually spoke all these verses in Valmiki Rishi's dream. And when Valmiki Rishi one day woke up after having this dream, he penned down all the 38 verses. So 36th verse from Ram Raksha Stotra is Bharjanam Bhava Bijanam Arjanam Sukha Sampadam. Bharjanam Bhava Bijanam Arjanam Sukha Sampadam. Tarjanam Yamadutanam Rama Rameti Garjanam. So Bharjanam Bhava Bharjanam means by the seed of this material existence gets roasted. When the seed gets roasted, it cannot fructify. So the material misery that we go through, the pangs of birth and death, that wouldn't happen anymore, and the cycle of birth and death will be broken. For whom? I'll explain. Arjunam Sukha Sampada means for someone who is chanting the holy names of the Lord Ram. He not only breaks free from the cycle of birth and death, Bharjanam Bhavam Arjanam, but he also acquires Arjanam Sukha Sampadam. He also acquires a lot of peace and prosperity and general well being. Tarajanam Yamadutanam, which means anybody chanting the holy names of the Lord Ram, can drive away the representatives of Yamaduta, or Lord Yamadutas. And what is the process? Rama Rameti Garjanam. Rama Rameti Garjanam. Garjanam, Ram Rameti means Lord Ram's name and his pastimes. Garjanam means very, very loudly, as best as possible with our hearts, very sincerely. So the essence is that anybody who is chanting or hearing about the Lord Ram and his pastimes, not just acquires peace and prosperity, but also breaks free from the cycle of birth and death. And at the same time, when it's time, he manages to drive away by the power of his devotion. He manages to drive away the Yamadutas, and they don't scare him at that time when it's time to leave the body. So this is another verse just to sharing with you, just to emphasize the importance of chanting the holy names of the Lord. And this time that we have at our hands, of course, some of us are on the front lines and more busier than ever. But generally, we have time to step away from the routine, and therefore a perfect opportunity to focus on hearing the pastimes and perfecting our lives, so that when time comes, we are fully in remembrance of the Lord, his lotus feet, his pastimes, and we are therefore able to break free the cycle of repeated birth and death. So everybody knows appearance of Hanumanji and how he was a blessed child, and he was full of powers as well, because he was Pavan Putra, so he had the ability to fly in the air and travel long distances. So one day, I'm going to try and share this in brief because everybody's more or less familiar with. So one day, Mother Anjani Mata was tending to Hanumanji, and she had to run an errand. So Hanumanji was left on the side, and Anjani Mata's instruction was, if you are hungry, which Hanumanji was always was the case with him, if you're hungry, just go for the orange fruit or the reddish fruit. So Hanumanji laid still for a while, and then he saw the sun was rising in the horizon, and it was orangish color, and he took his mother's instruction to heart and went for the sun, thinking of the sun to be a beautiful fruit in the sky. And we all know Hanumanji approached the sun and attempted to swallow it, but a sun god invoked or requested Indradev to help, and Indradev, not knowing what to do, attacked Hanumanji with his most powerful weapon, the Vajra. And Hanumanji, of course, fell down on the ground. So the name Hanuman, as most of us know, comes from this incident where the Hanu, or the chin of Bajrangoli, was hurt, and because of that it was split. So Lord Hanumanji's chin was broken, by Indra's Raja, and therefore the name Hanuman was coined. So Hanumanji lying flat on the ground, and then Indradev becoming very angry, stopping all the air, not just air in the environment, but air in the entire universe. So humans also couldn't move. Only celestial beings were okay at that point, but they were also feeling the trouble when all the air was stopped. So Brahmaji, of course, intervenes as normal. He recommends all the demigods to come down and bless the child and revive him, and all that episode happened. And all the gods and the demigods gave Hanumanji some of the other boon, whatever their powers were. They gave a portion of those powers to Hanumanji, and Brahmaji at that point gave him a beautiful diamond necklace, and he blessed Hanumanji by saying that you're going to facilitate the Supreme Personality's activities, and you'll help in carrying out his plan. So you have a special purpose. So I'm going to give you this diamond necklace, which will stay in your neck, but will be invisible to everyone except your master. And the day you meet your master, he will recognize you because he'll be able to see this necklace in your neck. So like that, everybody gave him blessings, and we all know after that Hanumanji became very powerful, and like children are, more so monkey kids, endowed with immense power and abilities, became a very naughty individual. And in his naughtiness, we all know, at one point got reprimanded to the extent that he was given a curse that he'll forget all his powers. But before that, or sometime around that, when the demigods were present, Suradev, whom Hanumanji was trying to approach to eat as a fruit, was considered at that point in time to be the best teacher available. And he agreed to give all the Vedic knowledge to Hanumanji. And Hanumanji, of course, approached, before he started to be a naughty kid, approached Suradev in a very, very humble manner. And there wasn't any. Suradev's school was a very interesting school, very, very different from a regular Gurukul Gurukul concept that we are familiar with, because Suradev never stops. He would continue to be on his trajectory, and there was no time for him to sit down and give one-to-one lessons. So anybody who wanted to learn from Suradev would just stay on his chariot, and there were only so many people that he could accommodate. So Bajrangbali said, I don't want a place, and I will just stay lower than you in the sky, and I'll keep on moving like you're moving just outside your chariot. So this illustration, and I'll detail a bit further, is essentially telling us the mood of a devotee, how a disciple or a student should approach a spiritual master. Nowadays, generally, the students, they demand, what are the facilities you're going to provide? Do you have this and that? And he will inquire so many things like, what are the other students' capability and how I can be best, etc. But Hanumanji's mood was very different. He just wanted to learn. So he accepted a position lower than the sun god outside the school, which was his chariot, essentially, where everyone else was sat. And after a while, Hanumanji realized that, as he was moving with the sun god, he realized that he's actually got his back to sun god, and that's not very good. So he turned around and he continued to fly in the air, but backwards, facing the sun god in a very submissive manner. And in about 60 sun cycles, Hanumanji received the entire instruction, and there were no breaks. Hanumanji was so attentive in listening to all the instructions that he did not ask for even a single instruction to be repeated. Mm. So, the devotee quality that we need to imbibe here is attentiveness and submissiveness from Hanumanji. And when the lesson was over, as is the tradition, Hanumanji offered sun god something in return for the education that had been imparted. So sun god said, I don't really need anything, but if you want to do me a favor and reciprocate, then please go and serve and become the servant of my son Sugriv. So Sugriv, the monkey warrior king, is a son of sun god, and his elder brother Bali is son of Indra. So the other quality that Hanumanji, is conveying to all of us as practitioners of Bhakti Yoga and disciples of some of the other spiritual master, Shiksha or Diksha, gurus, is that whatever is the instruction of the master should be taken totally to the T. Of course, you can take your time to understand, but you should follow it completely. Satisfying the spiritual master is satisfying the Lord himself, because the spiritual master is a representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So even though Sugriv was very, very low in power, ability, knowledge, and overall capability, Sugriv was much lower than Hanumanji. But still, Hanumanji accepted on the instruction of his teacher, sun god, to serve Sugriv for a very, very long time. And of course, we all know that because of serving Sugriv, he happened to meet Lord Ramachandra when they came during their exile. And then the entire episode of getting Mother Sita from Lanka, defeating Ravana, was enacted. So the message here is to accept the instruction of the spiritual master. If you're able to fulfill even one or two instructions that your spiritual master is giving you, then you can perfect your lives by doing that. Sometimes we get entangled with our family commitments quite a bit, so much so that basic commitments like chanting and reading take a backseat. But your chanting, especially, is the minimum commitment that at least the initiated devotees have given to their spiritual master. Too much discharging family duty is also entanglement. So we have to be careful to strike a balance and ensure that we're at least at bare minimum delivering on the minimum commitment that we have made to a spiritual master, and follow the instruction to the T. Of course, following the regulative principles is not such a big deal for most devotees, but the sadhana standards can always be improved. So this one instruction from Hanumanji's life, to follow the instruction of the spiritual master fully. So further in Hanumanji's life, he remains a committed servant to Sugriv, and then once, as we all know, Lord Ram was spending time in his exile. he recognizes the fact that someone's wandering in the area where Sugriv was living, and Sugriv then sends Hanumanji to check out on who the intruders were. And at that point, he actually went in disguise of a beggar. And of course, Lord Ram is Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. He could instantly recognize. So Hanumanji, in a very submissive mode, asked, "Who are you?" I'm and pretended to be a beggar. But Lord Ram immediately recognized him, saying, "Well, if you're a beggar, what is this diamond necklace doing in your neck?" And as soon as Lord Ram said that, Hanumanji was surprised, at the same time overjoyed with emotion and a lot of feelings, and he remembered Brahmaji's instruction. And at that point, he because he had already been told that only the master will recognize, he surrendered to Lord Ram in that moment. Lord Ram also recognized that Hanumanji had the absolute right mood to become part of his team and help in the mission that they were to carry out. I'm going to fast forward to the pastime of Lord Hanumanji, where he carries, he crosses the Lanka, he crosses the water body and goes over to Lanka in search of Mother Sita. So we all know that he'd forgotten his abilities, and at the bank or the river where all the military leaders of Lord Ram's army, they were contemplating on how to proceed. Everybody was discussing, and Jamawant at that point recognized that Hanumanji had the ability. So Jamawant, he was actually a bear, was responsible for pushing Hanumanji to recall all his abilities because now was the time of need. So in devotees, from a devotee understanding, and this is again listening from acharyas, simply repeating as best possible. So a devotee's understanding of this act of crossing the ocean is quite interesting. So we have access to the five elements, air, water, earth, fire, earth. So when Hanumanji crossed the ocean, he engaged all these five elements in the service of the Lord. He was Pavan himself, so the air element. Then he was crossing across the ocean in space, so that's the ether element. And he was crossing over the water body, that's the water element. And on the way, he meets a few demons. They signify some behaviors that we'll shortly talk about. And Mother Sita is recognized as Bhudevi, or the earth signified, personified. And he reached Lanka, and what did he do there? He burned the whole city down, just to convey to Ravana the power of Lord Ram by displaying what Lord Ram's servant can do, and to give Ravana an idea of what Lord Ram himself is capable of. So he engaged all the five elements in the service of Lord Ram. So as he was crossing, the first obstacle that comes in the way is a very beautiful mountain called the Manaka Mountain. And Manaka Mountain rose from the water as Hanumanji was trying to cross. So Manaka Mountain was a very beautiful mountain, and it was replete with all the groves and water bodies and fountains and flora and fauna. And the mountain, Manaka mountain personified, requested Hanumanji and offered him space to rest. And he said, "Oh, Hanuman, you've got a long journey. Why don't you take a little bit of rest?" But Hanumanji was very, very focused. He was very focused on the task that he had to complete. So he very, very politely refused the offer. But Menaka Mountain was insisting. So, trying not to be rude to the offering that the mountain personified was making, Hanumanji simply touched the Menaka Mountain and went on. So the understanding is that on the path of bhakti, Sita Mata is the fulfillment of bhakti personified in this example. On the path of bhakti, we have so many obstacles, and this Manaka mountain represents the comforts we sometimes get caught up with. It happens with devotees a lot, while we're at home, when we're practicing our sadhana, chanting. You'll be surprised to see how many poses, how many mudras, devotees can chant in, apart from just sitting in front of the altar. It happens with me a lot of time. And we tend to take it easy. Oh, I've done a few rounds. Let me just pick up this and that. Or let me just sleep for a bit. Or let me just watch a bit of TV, or just catch up on what's happening around the world, respond to the WhatsApp messages, etc., etc. And before you know it, it's 10 o'clock in the night and you still have a few rounds to do. Happens with a lot of us. So Menaka Mountain represents comfort, which we should be wary of all the time, and stay steadfast and focused in trying to achieve our goal. And translated in our daily lives is to complete our rounds as best as possible in the early hours, so that the effect stays on during the day. Moving on, the second obstacle in Hanumanji's path was another demon. I'm forgetting the name. Let me just refer to the notes. Yes, she was called Surasa. So Surasa demon had the ability of expanding his mouth such that she could devour anything. And she stopped Hanumanji again and said to Hanumanji that I have a boon from Brahmaji that anything that flies over the ocean, I can consume it and it has to go in my mouth. So Shurusa expanded her mouth, and when Hanumanji expanded even further, and like that, Shurusa expanded to as long as 100 miles, her mouth and the body. And at that point, Hanumanji decided to become so small, like a fly, entered Surusa's mouth and came out. And said, "Here you go, your benediction has been fulfilled, and I have respected the boon that Lord Brahmaji has given you." And Shursa was actually very impressed with Hanumanji, and she blessed Hanumanji to say that may you be successful in your mission, and you're very intelligent. She was actually quite pleased. So this interaction between Surasa and Hanumanji is referred to as the competitive spirit that we sometimes end up engaging in, not just in the mundane world at work, but also while practicing devotional service. Knowingly, unknowingly, we get into that unhealthy competitive spirit where instead of trying to please the Guru and Gauranga, we try and satisfy our own egos by increasing our standard and volume and capacity of service simply to make a show. And that becomes detrimental to our advancement. There is absolutely no need for any negative competition. Of course, one may argue that sometimes healthy competition is good. Yes, definitely. But we need to look at what is the impact it's having on us. If it is allowing us to scale greater heights, in devotional service, allowing us to become more at ease with us as servants of the Lord and the spiritual master and their instructions. And if you can see that happening, then that's okay. But the moment it turns into a self-satisfying game, then that is tipping over to the competitive spirit being a bit unhealthy. So that's the message we get. And ultimately, Hanumanji succeeded by reducing to a very small creature size, which is to say that competition or no, the important bit is, are you moving ahead? If you're moving ahead in your devotional service, you're progressing on the path of bhakti, fine. If not, then it's detrimental, counterproductive, give it up. So the third instruction from this voyage that Hanumanji made was in the form of another demon. And her name was Simika. Simika was a very, very powerful mystical ability to catch the shadow of any creature that was flying over the water and pull it down. So it caught the shadow of Hanumanji, and Hanumanji was being dragged down. And there wasn't any discussion or argument. She managed to capture Hanumanji and put Hanumanji in her mouth. And of course, Hanumanji was quite powerful and he had all the abilities. So he broke open the demon's body and came out. So the message for the devotees and generally anybody who's trying to take some takeaway from these pastimes, from this interaction of Hanumanji with Simika, is that this pulling at the shadow is the faults of the devotees, such as Hanumanji in this case. And this pulling of the fault-finding mentality is due to the envy that we sometimes knowingly, unknowingly develop amongst ourselves. And it's therefore important that we constantly associate with our Guru, his Vani, read books, and improve our quality of chanting, so this envy doesn't houses in our hearts. And there is no discussion or argument about whether envy is good or bad. It is not. So it just has to be killed and uprooted out of our system, like Hanumanji did, blasted the demon's body to pieces. Envy is not a useful thing. You cannot use it in devotional service. It just has to be dropped. There is just no room for envy. There is so much to do in service to the Lord and his devotees. At ISKCON Manchester, we're a small team, and we always fall short of hands. And there is so much to do, looking after not just our immediate devotee and family, but to the community at large. There is room for everyone, but no room for envy. So this is the third takeaway from this pastime of Hanumanji. And Hanumanji progresses on, and then he reaches Lanka after crossing the 800-mile distance and meets Lankini. Lankini is the guard at the gates, and Lankini, of course, not knowing who the monkey is, stops Bajrangbali, Hanumanji, and she actually pushes Bajrangbali. And at that point in time, Bajrangbali decides to not waste any time and gives Lankini a tight slap. And Lankini falls unconscious. And when she wakes up, she says, "Welcome to Lanka." Complete transformation of heart, mind, body, soul with one tight slap that Bajrangbali gave. What's the reason? Lankini was told that the day a monkey comes and slaps you, is the beginning or the end of Lanka. So she realized the time has come, and she submissively allowed Bajrangbali to pass. And we all know he approached Mother Sita. Bajrangbali was Hanumanji was quite capable of taking Mother Sita with him, um, but he didn't do that. There's a reason for that, and acharyas tell us that he always wanted to remain as a servant only and just carry out the duty that he's been given, and that was to find out where Mother Sita was, and let the actual job of retrieving Mother Sita be left to Lord Ram without overtaking someone else's service or someone else's responsibility or someone else's duty. He did offer to do so, but Mother Sita emphasized the same point, and ultimately we know the bridge was built and the entire army crossed over, and Lord Ram retrieved Mother Sita. But from the behavior and the attitude of Hanumanji is to remain humble in the position of a servant, if that's the position you've taken, and just do your own service as best as possible without encroaching onto other people's services or duties and responsibilities. So that's another takeaway. These pastimes of the Lord, we're coming close to end, another 5 minutes to go. These pastimes of the Lord are so relishing to us devotees and also to general public at large. We are constantly, as individuals, as ordinary individuals, in search of a superhero, someone who's larger than life. So we have all these fictional characters created like Batman, Iron Man, Superwoman, and now we have women as well, Superwoman, Catwoman, and whatnot. But the need is to remember our forgotten original superheroes, Hanuman. And there is a lot to take away from the lives of these exemplary devotees and their pastimes. Hearing their pastimes are not only entertaining, but at the same time they are enlightening as well. They enlighten us with so many life lessons for us devotees to implement in our lives, so that we become more sincere practitioners and we achieve the love of God. In this current circumstance that we are going through, it is especially relevant to, as much as possible, work on our sadhana. And reading the pastimes of the Lord is just such a simple activity. You can do that either by yourself or with family. It's recommended that you have a physical book in your hand, because the electronic devices have so much distraction and that come along with them. So it's recommended that you have a book in your hand, and if you're struggling with getting a book, definitely approach us and we can try and help. So it's a good time to work on your personal sadhana, increase the love and affection for the Supreme Lord by engaging in direct, indirect service, and reading the pastimes and developing that affection, which will help us revive our forgotten relationship. There is a beautiful verse that I'm remembering from this bhajan that we were singing yesterday in our Guru Nataraj Prabhu's online Zoom Sangha class, Vibhavari Sesha. It's morning prayers sung in Krishna Balaram temple in Vrindavan. I'm remembering the fifth verse is Yogendra Bandhana Srinanda Nandana Brajajana Bhayahari Yogendra Bandhana means the best of yogis are praying Bandhana, praying to Sri Nanda Nandana, Krishna, who is the son of Nanda Maharaj. Gopijana, Brajajana Bhayahari, and that Supreme Lord, son of Nanda Maharaj, to whom all the great yogis are praying, he takes away the fear of all the residents of Vrindavan. And if you have a little space of your own where you can do some daily worship, whatever you can do as per your resources, sing the glories of the Lord, read his pastimes with your family members or online or whatever is your facility. Wherever you are can become Vrindavan, and you can imbibe the mood of the Brajavasis. So, Yogendra Bandhana, Srinanda Nandana, Yogendra Nandana, Srinanda Nandana, Brajajana Bhayahari. He has the ability and the potency to take away all your fears. It's recommended and confirmed by the acharyas that for a devotee of the Lord, there is absolutely no need for fear. As long as you're fixed in your sadhana, you have personal protection of the Lord at all times. So, with that, we've come to 8:30, which is the official closing time for the speaking engagement service that we have for today scheduled. If there are any questions or comments, thank you, Radha Vinod Prabhu, for the comment. If there are any comments that anybody wants to put in, then we can just quickly go through over the next 4 or 5 minutes, and then we can wrap up. Any feedback also is most appreciated. Please, we all need to improve, and we all have room for advancing and becoming a little better, and I'm no exception. So please let us have your comments. Thank you, Katie Mataji. I'm glad it was useful. Anybody else? I can just go through my notes to see if there is anything I wanted to share but have missed. So Hanumanji's mother gave him name Sundar. He became Hanuman later on. Thank you, my dear mother, Gaurarti Mataji. Thank you for taking the time to listen. I know you were tied up with so many duties and essential responsibility in a very difficult time, and not the best of places to be in at this point in time. But you're with family and you're doing a wonderful job. So thank you for inspiring us to do our bit as well. So Hanumanji's actual name that his mother gave him was Sundar. So Sundarkand is Sundarkand for a number of reasons, but also because Hanumanji's original name was Sundar. That's it really. There are so many wonderful pastimes, but I think if you just go on and on, we'll probably stay here for a long time. But the essence is just take the instruction of your spiritual master, who's a representation of Krishna himself, and do your minimum commitment. And in this difficult time, stay in touch with devotees as best as possible. We have some wonderful Sangha groups going on. You can contact the temple management, Radha Vinod Prabhu, Gauranath Raj Prabhu, Radha Mohan Prabhu, or anybody you're comfortable with. I know we have a big congregation. Possibly a lot of people might be missing out. So please reach out to everyone, and who knows how long we'll need to carry on uh, with this style of reaching out and connecting. So please connect as best possible. With that, I'd like to take your leave. Say thank you to all of you for taking the time out. Please continue to be in touch. At ISKCON Manchester, we are committed to being available for this Friday and Sunday session as always, and there are regular events that are being announced from time to time in line with the festivals. And there are other interactive Sangha groups going on. Please join and reach out to those who may not have uh, been able to connect so far. Once again, I wish and pray that you are safe with your friends and families. And please, let's make use of this wonderful time and opportunity if you're not directly impacted. And if you are, then may the Lord give you the strength and the ability to go through it and come out victorious. Thank you very much. All glories to Sri Guru, Sri Gauranga, Sri Nitai, and Navadip Chandra Bhagwan, Sri Sri Radha Krishna, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Thank you very much. Stay safe. Hare Krishna.